smiling so much right now. I follow this blogger for like maybe a year and a half ago. Since I saw her, I was like, oh my God, I want to be her friend. I literally tell my man this all the time. And she is a real estate investor full time and also a fashion blogger. She went to school in Jersey and is from northern New Jersey. And I am so excited to announce Nurys Marcel.
Yay, this is so nice to hear. You're also like that, you follow me for a year and a half. It's always so nice to like get to know how long you've been following me for.
Yeah.
And like just how far you know my history. And if you had to like read into like pictures or go back and do your research of who I am. So it's always like nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, Natasha. Well, thank you so much for being here. Natasha actually showed me your page, and I was like, okay, I can understand why you like her so much because you're so relatable. And so, I mean, once we started this podcast, and we were making a list of guests and like who we would want to have as a guest, and you definitely were on like the top list.
Yeah, I was like, I have to have her. I was like, I don't know if I could get her, but I knew Kathy, who's your manager, and I was like, okay, maybe I can ask Kathy and see how this goes. And when Kathy was like, yes, I was so excited. I was literally like, I woke up today, like I couldn't sleep. I was like, you know when you're so excited about something and nervous at the same time. That was today, and I was like, yay!
I actually didn't really stress about it. I went over the questions with Zach, and he's like, did you read them before? Zach is like the control. By the way, Zach is my fiance. Who doesn't know? He's like more like the one always pushing me for me to be prepared. I'm more like of a spontaneous person, and I like to be, I feel like if this is my career, I should know every question without having to like read it. And he's like, no, you should like be prepared what you're gonna say. And I'm like, I don't want to get nervous, and I get in my head, and then I'm like, I didn't want to feel like that, so I'm like, I'm not gonna do that, because that's what I did for my interview with Telemundo, and I was like, no, I'm just gonna be like myself. So I really just calmed down this time around. But this is so nice. I always wanted to be in a podcast, so this is congratulations.
This is awesome. Thank you. We're happy to have you. Tell us how you started, because I know when I started following you, you had said that you used to work at a bank.
Yes.
And then you just shifted to become a real estate investor. So how did that all happen?
So you guys know that I lost my parents, so I don't have my mom and dad. So I think things work like in this mysterious way, and that's why you have to believe in other stuff. I don't know, because my mom passed away, and I was working in the banking industry. I was working as a teller. My mom, I think she bought me like a pair of Skechers for the whole entire year. And I was like getting bullied in school, and I was like, give me a job. Like, where's the job? And I think I was like not even legal to work, and she got me this job at some sort of a pharmacy. So I always had a job. So fast forward to whenever she passed away, I was working at the bank. I was still working part-time, and I was still going to college. So I was going to Ramapo College. She passed away my senior year of college, so I was still working with Wachovia at the time as a part-time teller. And she passed away. I remember like I barely graduated. I was failing on my classes. She was so sick. I was so stressed. My head was like all over the place. And she didn't make it, so I graduated. And I remember going back to my manager at the time, and I'm like, you have to make me full-time. So she made me full-time. So she made me a full-time teller. After becoming a full-time teller, I became a customer service title. So it gave me a little bit more of a boost of a salary. I think I lasted in that position maybe like 3 months or 6, the minimum that you can like be in that position for. I wanted to be a personal banker. I realized that being the position that I was just getting paid less to do the same thing a personal banker was doing. So then I made sales like quota in order for them to promote me. So they promoted me to a personal banker. I think I lasted being a personal banker probably like a year. I did well, and then I became like a service manager. And I just kept exceeding in my role. But in all this, I think I was a personal banker when I bought my first house. So my first house was before I became a service manager. And the reason why I bought my first house was because, like I said, I lost my parents and I was living with a boyfriend at the time and things weren't going well. I had no stability in my life. You know, he kept kicking me out. We were just having so many problems. I wasn't having a great relationship with my family, so I didn't feel like I could run to them and tell them my problems. So I felt like the only stability that I could have was just buying a home. And my mom didn't leave me any money, so my mom only left me debt. So when she passed away, we had to pay for her funeral. We had just moved into we had just moved out of Patterson, and we moved into West Patterson, and she bought all the furniture with my credit and passed away 3 weeks later, girl.
Oh, wow.
So this is where I'm like, I had to talk to my manager, and I had to talk to my manager and tell her, like, you need to make me a full time, because I couldn't afford like the rent plus the credit card bills, and then now my loans were kicking in. I just had graduated. I was terrified of like the real world. I felt like the real world was like kicking me. I mean, like I was like my mom's princess. My car would get messed up and I had to take it to the mechanic. I would park my car and my mom would take it to the mechanic and she would give me her car. So fast forward to me just being without her, trying to grieve my mom and then going through all this. It was like insane. So it made me like very strong and understand that I needed financial independence, and that regardless of whatever I'm going through personally, like the world keeps spinning. And it was just so hard. Like I had to not deal with my emotions. I think till this day I feel like I regret that. I regret not having the time to deal with my emotions. I feel like to this day probably I haven't grieved a lot of emotions properly because I just had to grow up and I just had to just be an adult, you know. So I didn't have like that time where I could just grieve my mom and like, you know, celebrate and like look for a job and settle into the job that I wanted. No, I had to just take care of my brother. I had to pay rent. I had to pay for the bills. I cared about my credit. The one thing she left both of us was credit. So that's why she didn't have any credit. So she always used my credit since it was my name. My name is her name. Our names are the same.
You guys are the same. Nurys, Marcel.
So she could go with my ID. Oh. So she could use the credit card. She could do anything. So she always used my name for everything when it came to credit. And, you know, it was a hard time, but it pushed me to buy my first home. So I was lucky that she built my credit. And I remember working at Wells Fargo, being a personal banker already, and being with one of my colleagues. And she asked me, like, you know, she made me open a Wells Fargo credit card. So I opened the credit card, and I think I got approved for like $8,500.
And that was your first credit card?
No, that was like probably my like third credit card. Okay. But this was like the first credit card that I got approved for so much money. I was like,
right, that's why I was just
balling.
Yeah. That's why I was just gonna ask.
Because I was so young. You have to think about like probably I'm like 22 years old.
No, that is a
credit
lot.
card for $8,500.
You're like, what am I gonna do with this?
I'm like, woo!
I'm actually in personal banking myself, so that's why I was wondering.
So it was like it was so nice to be, you know, I had excellent credit. So so then fast forward to then, you know, I think we had a mortgage rep standing with us. It's not like on a day that it's not busy and we're just like wandering around looking for customers. And she's like, you know, and I start asking about like mortgage questions. And she's like, you know, what about you? Like, you know, you will probably qualify for a house. I'm like, me, I'm full of debt. I have like all these student loans and, you know, I'm like, that's impossible. And she's like, well, let's try. So I went not expecting anything. It was just more to create her a sale, like, or for it to look like she worked something that day. I was not expecting to get pre-approved. Mind you, she pre-approves me for $250,000. Wow,
that's awesome.
Oh my God. I know. And I'm like, I'm so excited. Like I remember like going back to this ex that I had at the time. So excited. I'm like, oh my God, I got approved for her house. I'm buying a house, and I'm buying like a house that I can live in a basement because I'm paying all these bills off. I'm like, and he's just like not excited. He's so not excited. He's like, he started like talking to, our family, his family, and everybody just has something negative to say about owning a property in the United States. That you never own it. You're always paying for that. It's only bills and all this negativity. And I'm like, I remember me wanting to give it up. I'm like, you sure? Like, he's like, yeah, you never own it. For what? You're just going to be in charge of paying the landscaping and if a pipe breaks and all this negativity. I don't know what made me, because we were going to do it together. So he was so discouraged about the idea that I was like, fine. So you know what? I'm going to do it by myself. So I didn't have any money. Like I said, I was broke. So I was just pre-approved, but I had no money.
Yeah, because you still have to put like
so I got a pre-approved for my first home with a FHA loan, put in 3.5% down. FHA loan, for a lot of people that don't know, it's a regular loan. It's just insured by the government. Mm-hmm. So it gives you the ability to qualify for a loan. So it's kind of like the government trying to boost like.
And it's like for first-time home buyers, isn't it? Specifically for those people.
Yes,
right?
And it's for first-time home buyers. It's people that also don't have the credit or don't have the funds, so they don't have. Obviously, you don't have the 20% to put down on a loan, and your credit might not meet the criteria that the bank is really asking. So you do get a penalty to be in this loan. So you do get a PMI, which a lot of people don't tell you. Before this penalty, once you reach the 20% that the bank is required for you to have, it used to automatically drop. Now you have to refinance for it to drop. So now you have to like spend thousands of dollars into refinancing for this PMI to drop. And it's a huge chunk of money. Like a PMI is a percentage of the loan. Don't quote me on what percentage it is, but it varies from like $150 to even $400. So that could be a car payment. So it is very important that for you not to have that PMI, that penalty. So I think it's very discouraging the fact that as a minority, we qualify for this loan because we're barely making it. But then again, we're the ones that still have to pay more and spend more while I don't know how to explain it. It's
like you already don't have
it. But then we're penalizing you even more not to even have it.
Exactly.
I don't get it. It disputes the purpose to me. I feel
that's America for you, right? At the end of the day.
So, but I didn't know that. I didn't know about the PMI. I didn't know what a PMI was. I just was happy that I got pre-approved. Yeah. And a lot of people right now, I feel like everyone doesn't really care about anything. We all just want to just be a step ahead, and I feel like that's okay. But I also do encourage financial education, like finding out like what you're really getting yourself into. I feel like you'll run into that question when you're gonna ask me about my mistakes, and one of the mistakes that I feel like I made with real estate was not educating myself enough. I'm like, what I'm signing. So I feel like everyone's trying to make a cut. So you know, brokers, companies, banks, and everything, so you have to shop around, you have to educate yourself on what rate you're really closing at, and if you really could trust this person, if they're, saying that they're going to close you on this percentage, but then once, all the documents come in, they're charging you points for this and points for that, and then you're $1,000 higher than what you were supposed to be, so right. I just feel like just educating yourself and asking questions on like, what is this? Like, why are you charging me this? And where's the justification as to why you're signing me this? There's a lot of people that, are ethical, but there are a lot of people that are not. So, sometimes we tend to be in a community where not everyone's ethical and everybody's trying to make it some way, somehow. So I feel like I saw myself in a lot of situations where I'm like, but why do I have this interest rate? Why did I close? I was so eager to just own a home that I didn't even care what they were charging me. I just wanted to own the home, but then fast forward to years later, you're like, wow, this payment could have been so much less and I could have been making so much more money, or,
Right, like with anything, the more experience that you gain, you then realize, okay, I could have done this and that differently. And to your point, actually, I have a story from a client today where she came in and she's looking for an auto loan, and I'm giving her the rate and explaining, you know, all the terms, and trying to educate her as best as I can before she goes ahead and applies for the loan. And then the moment that I told her the rate, she's like, wait, but the dealership is offering me 4% and you're telling me 6%. Like, I can save myself 2% on, you know, the interest, and I think I'm just going to go with the dealership. And I was just like, make sure you read the fine print before going to that dealership and, you know, making the purchase. Because to your point, Nurys, you know, people are unethical. They're going to tell you, oh, yeah, it's 4% with all these hidden fees and all these extra costs that you didn't expect.
And I also feel like they're so smart that they are in the communities where they know that we are so eager just to own something. Mm-hmm. We're desperate. We want to make it.
Something of ourselves. Exactly.
Yeah, we're so desperate that honestly, what do we care? You know, and I feel like I hold so many people so high. You know, I feel like they were helping me. I feel like they were there for me. And now, fast forward me being an agent, I'm like, you just wanted to get that sale. Right.
Like, now that you know, now
that I know on the other side, I'm like, you know what? Like, I don't know if you really was there for me. You know, because at the end of the day, you had the listing, and I was gonna be, you know, you wanted me to buy your listing, so you were gonna make double the commission. So did you really
have my best interest at heart?
Wanted me to succeed? I mean, like, I'm thankful. I'm very thankful that I got the property and that, you know, but and the other end, it shows that it wasn't so much about me, it was also about you, you know. Mm-hmm. So I feel like it's very eye-opening to realize, like, you know, like, maybe they were not so much my friends, mm-hmm. and everybody was just doing their job.
Right.
You know, and that was it.
It was all a business.
Yeah.
And so you went from owning that first house.
Yes.
So then now you have, like, I don't even know how many. You have so many, and it's so inspiring. So how many do you have now, and how did you get from 0 to 100? Literally.
Well, I wish. But no. So I bought my first property. I think... I paid all my dad, my mom's, like, credit cards, and, you know, I was living it up. I traveled. I felt like I was rich. I mean, like, literally, I was like, you know, after I paid everything, and then I'm living in this property. I remember I bought the property, and when I was searching for a house, I was searching for a house that I could live in the basement. There was not a place, I don't know how to say it, like, in my mind, there was never another option. Like, for me, I was just, I wanted to not live paycheck by paycheck. So everyone, when I was looking for this property, was like, why are you always so focused on, like, the basement? I'm like, I don't want to live in the first floor. I can't afford it.
You want to rent it?
I want to rent it. So I want to live rent-free. My goal was to live rent-free. So then I bought that property. I enjoy going on vacation, and I fell back. I felt like I did for a couple years. It took someone, and, you know, I think it was the people I was around. So, you know, I feel like everyone around me felt like I was doing great. So everybody was just like, you know, like, at this point, I'm a service manager. I'm probably making, like, what, $75,000 a year. Plus, I'm living rent-free, mm-hmm. and making extra. Right. So, you know, and I'm young. I'm like, you know, I have no kids. I own my own car. I didn't lease or anything. The last car I had, my mom helped me buy. So I'm like, I'm balling. So I'm like, you know. So I fell off out of all my friends. I was the one doing the best. I was also lending money on the side. My mom left me that business, so I was always, you know, I made at least cash, like, probably $600, you know, a week. I was always a hustler, so I was always getting it somewhere, somehow. So
you had the entrepreneur spirit.
Yes. I just didn't have the right mindset.
Okay.
You know, I don't think I was confident enough. I wasn't, like I said, I also wasn't financially educated. Okay. Where I'm like, I can make this in other ways. Mm-hmm. So then, you know, I fell off because of friends. Everyone just felt like I was doing great. What was the need? They felt like I was always complaining about my financial situations. I always wanted more. Mm-hmm. So I felt like, obviously, I was in the wrong circle because I just didn't fit in. I outgrew everyone. Mm-hmm. So then fast forward to I want to buy a second home. I thought about the idea, then I educated myself on the amount of money that I needed to buy because now I don't qualify for the 3.5%.
Because you have the house.
Yeah, I already have that one house. Now I gotta put 20% down. So that's a lot of money. So now I'm like, wow, I gotta save all that money plus closing costs. So I'm like, so I talked to my partner, and I'm like, let's do this together, like, and he said that he was gonna do it, blah, blah. Our relationship was going sour. Long story short, we're not together. We break up. I end up buying this house by myself, so I saved.
Boss move.
Yeah, so I bought my second by myself. And let me tell you that to buy my first one, because we skipped that part, I put myself on $100 budget per week. So,
wow, with like food, everything?
With everything.
Yo no lo puedo creer. ¿Cómo?
Yeah, I remember like even wanting to buy a soda. And every time, and I would think about my mom and the person that guided me to buy my first house was my mom, because I remember her telling me stories about when she bought her house in DR and how she fixed it, that she wanted a soda and that she wouldn't buy a soda because she had, a budget. And that's how I felt when I was buying my first property. I calculated, as soon as that mortgage rep pre-approved me, I calculated how much was I making. I mean, I was so good back then. Now I'm like, I spoil myself too much.
Well,
but like, I was so good back then. Like, I was like on a leash. Like, I was so good. And, I calculated how much I was making. And I'm like, okay, I could do this. I'm not going to do my nails like 3 times a month. I'm probably going to do it once. If they ask me to go out to eat and I can't. Like, I was such on a leash. And I just knew I had $100. It didn't matter. It was for gas, for everything. So I remember like knowing where I was packing my lunch. I was doing everything I had to do not to spend money. So I saved the money to buy my first one like that. So then I got myself on that budget again.
Wow.
Not the 100, but I do know that I was like on a leash again. And I saved the money to buy my second property. So then, back then, I was single, so it was easier. I was single now; it was so much easier. I had, now I'm like a single girl with 2 properties and a good job. Now guys are like after me. They're willing to help. They're willing to.
Well, they see that you're
independent.
That
I'm independent, so it's different. So now at this point, like I felt like I was so lucky that men would see how much where I wanted to be, that I think I was dating someone that was a contractor when I bought my second property, and we made a deal. Like, I'm like, listen, like, can you do this apartment for me and redo this other apartment, and I'll pay you in installments. So even if I was dating him, I'm like, I'm gonna pay you.
Like, this
right,
is
at the end, a business mindset.
So I'm like, I'm gonna pay you. So I remember I did that for my second property because I couldn't afford it. I was broke. I gave everything I had, and I had months saving just to buy. So now, I remember getting the house with tenants. That was my first property, getting a house with tenants inside. They were all men. I remember the first experience that the guy was yelling at me loud.
Oh,
I remember I was so lucky that my brother was still living in town. I had to bring him in and like for him to talk to them, because I was like, I came out shaken, like shook by like how he was yelling at me. I never met somebody so mean and just so disrespectful, and made me feel inferior because I was a woman, and that he could talk to me and treat me the way he was. And when you buy houses with tenants, you end up in these brutal and uncontrollable situations where the tenants feel offended that you're coming into this property now, and that they didn't make a deal with you, and you have to deal with a lot. And I was crying. Like back then, I was crying every single day.
You were like,
anything that will happen to my properties, I would just be crying. I'm like, why, God? Now it's like completely different. Now it's like I have a mentality, like I have a portfolio of properties, and this is what it generates, and this is what I lost. And I try to take day by day, because if not, it's gonna eat me alive. And I'm just so much stronger emotionally. I'm still human, but I try to, keep an open mind and understand that maybe there's a lesson behind that I need to learn, and I'm just more open to these lessons rather than before I just made myself the victim, So
fast forward to now, 2020, how many properties do you currently have?
So I own 2 multiple dwelling, which are legal buildings. So those, I own 2. And of those, and they have 4 apartments, and then I own 2 multifamily homes, and then I own 1 single home.
Wow.
And then I own my own home with
my girl is balling.
Yeah. So 6 properties in total.
Wow. So that's a lot of properties.
Yeah.
Like, congrats.
Thank you.
And in those properties, there's a total of how many units?
18 units.
Wow.
So 18 units and 3 garages. So a total of like 21 right now.
And this is, I don't know if you want to answer this question, but is this where your full income is coming from? Like, you don't have a 9 to 5 anymore?
I do not have a 9 to 5. Right now I'm trying to make an income with social media. So I finally got a manager, and I'm trying to become an entrepreneur. I want to have as many sources of income as I can. And that's the goal, not to put all your eggs in one basket. So I definitely, I'm not settling. I'm not. And I hope that God keeps blessing me. I don't know where life is going to take me. I feel like if I think about, 5 years from now, if I thought I was going to be where I'm at today, I would have never thought that. So I'm intrigued about the future, and I wonder, if I would say the same thing 5 years from now, which is dope, when you think like that, and you're like, I don't know where would I be. Am I gonna be doing podcasts? Am I gonna be doing YouTube more? Am I gonna be a public speaker? Am I gonna be doing, I don't know.
Well, you'd make a great public speaker because you have a great story, literally. And
the sky's the limit.
No, my friends all, they joke around like Marcel, presidente. When I start talking, they're like, there she goes, and then wherever I go, when they do these meets and greets, and I always want to get on the mic. I always do. I do want to talk. I want to talk all the time. It's so funny.
Well, that's how we have here.
I'm like, as a manager, I'm like, I just want to talk. I'm just like, I don't know. I just get all this vibration, and I don't know, it's like this knock, and I'm like, I have to talk. I have to say what I'm feeling. And that's how I feel too with Instagram. It's so funny, but I never have thought about, who knows me, who's listening. Not for once. Sometimes it actually grabs me off guard, because I forget that Zach's mom follows me, or people now at my office, and I'm like, holy shit, I'm out there. I'm and even about my website, the first time that I experienced that was actually when I launched my website. So I was open about my surgery and everything that, my past, my life. I'm very open, and when I wrote those things, it was not to be public. It was just for healing. It was for me. It was for me. And then, Zach was like, you should
publish it.
Publish it. And without thinking about the, what other people were gonna think of me, or, and I think it's so crazy, because I supposedly care about what people think, but then in other ways, I don't. It doesn't even cross my mind. I don't really care. I'm like, whatever.
Well, they follow you for a reason, and even if it's negative, I mean, Dios siempre te protege, so, lo malo ojo, that's not gonna...
Yeah. But, we just live in a very judgmental world,
mm-hmm.
and, I feel like no matter what, how much, people always want more. If if I'm showing my boyfriend and I show this bit, they want more.
Mm-hmm.
They want more. So you also have to, cross the line. So I have learned that the hard way, because my fiance is a little bit more private. I'm more, like I said, I don't really fuck. So I don't really care, because I feel like we're all here just living the same life, and we all have the same struggles. I'm just probably more blunt about that I'm going through it, and that's it. And I want to help whoever actually is going through it, and they're not speaking up about it, and they're just holding it in. I don't want to be fake. I don't ever want to be fake. I just want to be myself. I want people to understand that everything we go through is completely normal, that half of the time we don't know what we're doing.
Right,
we're
you
just
figure
going
out
with
as
the
you
flow,
go.
you know.
Yeah,
We don't.
Sure.
We don't have. Everything is
trial and error. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you know, we're always acting like we got it all put together, and I used to be that person until I lost my Instagram. So when I got hacked.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I got hacked, and I made a promise when I got hacked. So everything happens for a reason. So when I got hacked, I realized how much Instagram meant to me. And I was so depressed. I couldn't believe that, oh my God, I don't have Instagram. And I'm like, what was I really using it for? I wasn't using it for anything positive. And, you know, when I met Zach, my fiance, he also used to judge me a little bit on Instagram. He Googled me when we met on Match.com.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, we met on Match.com. So he Googled me, and he told me that I'm not who I am on social media. That's what he said to me. That I'm not. So I held that to my heart, very close to my heart. And when I got hacked, I promised myself that I would show more of who I actually am. And since then, that's what I've been trying to do. So
and honestly, now meeting you in person, it's the same person I see on social media.
Aww.
So you've done it right.
Thank you.
So, I mean, so let's just backtrack a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you bought your first property how many years ago now?
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, I don't want to age you or anything. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, you're
beautiful.
young anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's say I was like 23 years old when I bought my first one. Probably like, you know, I waited so long to buy my second. It was so long. I was lost. I was dealing with life, with ex-boyfriends, with grieving my mom. I was just lost. And let's say, I don't know, like 2000. It wasn't say like 15, I'll say.
Okay.
So probably 15, I started like, okay, I'm gonna buy my second, and then 16, maybe my third, fourth, and then like 17. So like that. So then I started. So a lot of people ask me this question: how did I go from 2 to 3?
Right, I was gonna ask
so
that
where
next.
I go from 2 to 3 is that I refinance my second,
Okay.
and then my first, and then I go from 3 to 4. I refinance my second.
Second. Okay.
So then I refinance. So then I remember, like, for the first time in my life, I had like $180,000 in my account. And I was like,
Wow.
what?
Yeah,
And I
that's
remember,
amazing.
like, I never had that money ever in my life. And I remember, you know what? I could do so many things. And I bought 2 properties. And I did not spend one dime.
Wow.
Not one dime. And, you know, at this point, I wasn't working with Wells Fargo. So that's why I didn't spend one dime. Because my life was so full of uncertainty.
So you were jobless.
So
Well, I was going to ask that also is like, when did you know it was time to leave Wells Fargo? Like, that's a huge
You know, I've
leap of
never been
faith.
honest about this, and I think I should be honest now.
Oh my God, you guys, you're going to hear it here first.
Okay? So, and I'm going to say, because you know what? I've been trying to take this weight out of my chest.
So this is the time.
This is the time to say it. I guess it's because I'm on a podcast. So, I got fired from Wells Fargo.
Okay,
Oh, wow.
so you know,
Yeah.
but it's a blessing in disguise.
But wait, this is what's even crazier. So I have months planning leaving Wells Fargo, and then them assholes fire me. I was planning, like I was trying to buy my third, and I'm like, as soon as I buy my third, I already have found the property. I was in the closing process and everything, and they fired me, and I'm like, you couldn't wait? Like, I was so mad. Because I remember that's when I had met someone and they wanted to hire me for Instagram. This was my first job for Instagram.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I was trying to do Instagram in DR. So I was trying to become like a Instagram personality in Dominican Republic. So I was going to move to Dominican Republic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
After buying all of that, you were going to leave that here.
So
and
the plan was to buy my third property, and once I had the third property, I was going to leave Wells Fargo to go live in DR.
Oh my God. Your life would have turned out so different if you moved to DR.
So this was like my plan.
A blessing in disguise.
So
literally,
then,
like,
so then like Wells Fargo, you know, fires me, you know, the whole entire thing with Wells Fargo Bank. So I was one of them that got fired. And I
got laid off then.
No, girl, I got fired.
Oh.
No, I got fired. And it wasn't nothing crazy. I didn't do anything. Honestly, I opened an account for someone that their ID was expired. So it ended up being that the lawyer started taking care of me, that took care of my lawsuit when I broke my leg. These are the people that send this client, and I knew them from Wells Fargo. So they were they used to send clients all the time to our branch. So I had like a relationship with them. I knew that they got in this check from a lawsuit. So they were always like, oh, go to this girl in Wells Fargo. She opened the account. This person, I called to verify that girl, that was the one account. And I got fired.
Oh, wow.
But it was something so simple. But it goes back to me feeling embarrassed. Like I remember when I wanted to leave. Like I was leaving anyway.
Right, you were like.
But just to say to
yeah.
people, like because you're working in the financial industry, just to say like I got fired, people think automatically the worst, and I didn't want that image, and I was like haunted so for so long to actually just say, you know what, like I was just trying to help somebody out, and it was nothing crazy. They had a debit card. They had, but just in order. I don't know, in order for them to get like the motor vehiculo ID, I needed to do that so they could do that.
Oh.
You know how you need X amount of ID, so they needed like a statement or a card, I don't know, or a debit card, I don't know.
Yeah.
So it was confusing. So I did that favor and it backsplashed on me and I got fired. And my manager fought like for me not to get fired, but I did. So then fast forward to me being in the closing terms of this property. So I had to like expedite everything because I'm like, I need my pay stubs and everything to still work. So thank God I was able to close on my third property. Then that's the reason why I bought the fourth one quickly. Like it was like right back to back because I wanted to be able to use my W-2s and everything, like my tax records and everything. So it was like I didn't really have an option. So I didn't spend like a dime from my refinance, and I was able to buy the fourth property. Then fast forward, now I'm working, doing these units, fixing them and doing everything I have to do. Then I wanted to move out of Patterson, finally treat myself because I was still living in this basement.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
even throughout all these
throughout the whole entire time, I'm fixing and redoing everyone else's apartment. I'm living in the basement.
Mm-hmm. But you were doing it because you wanted to succeed. Like this was.
No, I basically said it to myself. I would not move out of this basement if it's not to my own house. So my goal was to leave there to my own one-family house. So I used an FHA loan again because even though I had an FHA on a multifamily home, since I didn't have a single family, I could use it again. Okay. But it doesn't work vice versa. So the smart thing is to always get an FHA loan with a multifamily and then a single family, because then you could have two FHA loans versus the other way around. If you already have a single family, then you're considered like you're going to invest. So then you need the 20% now.
Oh, did you know this before you bought the multifamily, or it just happened to be there?
It happened to be
wow.
there. Yes.
Oh my God. Yeah. So then you bought the single family home and you finally moved out of the basement.
Yeah, so I bought the single family home. At this point I hadn't met my fiance. I had given up on love and everything, and I was like, you know what? Like, I'm done. Like, I'm done with waiting for Mr. Right. I was tired of being chapeando. Like, guys me estaban chapeando. Like, it was like all these guys just like, I felt like they saw like this independent professional girl and like doing it, and they just saw dollar signs. Like,
they just wanted to take advantage of it.
Yeah, so it was just like, I became, and my standards were so much higher too. So I felt like because I was independent, I wasn't willing to settle for the typical guy that they raised us thinking that we could settle for.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I am not settling for un pansu. Like, I'm not, that I'm not attracted to. And I'm like, I'm not settling for that. Like, I want, and I kept saying it to my cousins. I remember we were watching a Super Bowl. and we were at a Super Bowl party, and you know, every time you go to like a family event, they're always like, you know, y Marcel, los hijos, you know,
como siempre.
and I'm like, yeah, like don't even start with me, like leave me alone. And you know, I always had like this moment where I like got loud and was just like, you know, I want a guy that has good credit, that doesn't have kids, that's good looking, and honestly that could fuck me right. And I always said it. I wasn't settling for it. I'm like, I don't want anything to be mediocre. I actually had my standards, and I remember like right now them all telling me like, girl, you're crazy. You think you're gonna find an attractive man with no kids, with good credit, and that que está dotado, tú estás loca. You know, and it was just like, to them, it was just like, well, I'm like, girl, I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna wait for it. If not, I'm gonna pick my own guy and I'm gonna have my own kids with the person that I decide to have my kids with. So when I bought that house, it was just for that. Like I was like really gonna pick the guy, and I was just gonna have kids. Like I was just like ready for kids. You know, I was very alone since I don't have my parents, and my brother moved to Atlanta. It was hard to be by myself, and my relationships with my family always been very hard because, you know, I was the oldest, so I had to protect my brother, and all the arguments and all the, you know when people die, always stuff happens, and all the blame was always on me. Cause I always been like the strong one. I'm like a dude when I have to be a dude. So, you know, I don't care how old you were, if you were my uncle, if you're my aunt, you know, I gotta take care of my brother, like my younger sibling to me. He was like my son at the time, you know. So I felt like I had to take care of him, of us, and it just built this huge wall in my family that it was hard for me throughout the years. It still is. That's one of my biggest struggles, like the problems I have with my family. But, you know, we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot, but you know, this is why you inspire me so much, because of all of this, and you talk about it so openly and not at this much in depth. So I'm glad you're giving all the details here.
I know, my followers are gonna appreciate this. I think they've been waiting for years for this.
Yeah.
I mean, I really like that you gave that piece of advice, that you didn't settle, because so many women just, you know, accept you know, just because he doesn't have this, it's okay, I'll forgive that, I'll forget that, and you know, everything else is great, so I might as well just be with him. You
don't understand, like, oh my god, like I was dating someone that my friends would come to me, my cousins, and they were like, Marcel, you will live like a queen, like, are you, like, every girl would die to date that guy. And like, I had guys like give me the world, like really the world. I really did, and I cared. You know, I cared for them, and it made me value myself. So it was needed. It was needed because I felt like my first relationship really destroyed me, and I felt like I wasn't worthy of a lot of things. So fast forward to these men giving me the world, then I felt worthy, and that was great. But then I felt like I lost track of the amazing human being I was. So I felt like it was just all this materialistic things and this world of just
like the fast life, right?
The fast life.
Yeah,
it was just like crazy. It wasn't like really what my heart needed. I
stability, right?
No, and I kept neglecting my feelings. So I felt like these guys all gave me materialistic stability, like financial stability.
Yeah, financial security.
Yes, but they didn't give me inner...
the emotional, the
emotional
They didn't feed your soul.
No. And then, you know, it was crazy for me to find Zach, and I could not believe that. I mean, like, Zach had a list of books that he had read on Match.com. And I remember, like, looking to this guy, and I did not give him a break. It took us forever for us to exchange numbers, because I'm like, what am I going to say? I never read a book in English in my life. I'm like, I remember going to college and I read like the first page and the last page. And then I Googled the book and like read the summary and like bullshit my whole like way around an essay. And, you know, for me, it was just like he was so smart and I was very intimidated. And then, you know, he was the one who who made me feel like one again, like full again, you know. So I feel like you cannot settle. You cannot, like, I remember how much I supposedly thought I cared for the first guy that, you know, I was throughout my first property, second property. I mean, my whole entire family dicen que él me hizo una brujería. I was like obsessed. Like, that guy did everything by cheating. He had a kid with someone else, and I was through that. I was like raising the kid with him, and it was everything. I mean, I was willing to do everything for this person. And I remember, like, even financially, like the restraint that it, like, I feel like now I see that he caused on me. And I loved the kid. And, you know, now I look at it and I'm like, that wasn't love.
Yeah.
That was a love that we're taught that we're supposed to have. Like, to an extent, I don't feel like we're taught, like, that there's certain things that are not love.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that if that person calls you that is not love. And you should not accept that type of love. And I feel like we're taught since the early age that as women, we need to forgive, forget, and be understanding. And I feel like you see that more in our cultures. And I don't agree with that. I don't agree with it at all. And I feel like the more independent we become, and we're able to ask, to say, like, I'm not doing that, and I want this, and I want that.
She's speaking to me in my heart right now. Oh my goodness.
Like, it's like you have to be able to, you know, hold your ground, though. Like, I feel like a lot of women are not independent, and they wanna, you know, they want a guy to be faithful. And not saying that if you're not independent, you're stay-at-home mom, someone should be unfaithful.
Of course not.
But by default, in our culture, it's like, you know, if you're not working, that's like, all right, well, tú tienes que aguantar los cuernos.
Claro.
And it shouldn't even be like that. You know, it shouldn't at all. But in our culture, that's what it's, you know. Well, you don't bring anything to the table. You know, it's so
backwards, to be honest, because I feel like other people don't really, you know, or other cultures, like you say, you know, don't go through it to the extent that we do. Porque todavía lo hacen en otra cultura, pero no es así.
No, y son más respetuosos. Yo siento como que a veces, oye, se pasa.
Yeah.
Se pasa.
Yeah.
You know, but I feel like the more women are becoming independent and empowered, I feel like we were all like in a bubble. Let's just speak like the truth. I felt like I was in a bubble. I didn't know my worth. I didn't know what I could do. I didn't know I didn't need a man until, like, I got my groove on and understood that I didn't need you. I wasn't gonna stay here and sit here and allow you to do that to me anymore. You know?
That's my question. How did you find a way out from that toxic relationship? You know,
my
I know
God.
we started in real estate and we're going into relationships, but since we're here now.
Yeah, it was hard. It was the hardest thing. I think it was the hardest thing even then to deal with my mom.
Wow.
Yeah, it was hard, girl. Like, hard. This guy even went to, like, jail, and I was, like, willing to, like, wait for him and everything. He had girls here and there. Like, like, he was even with a girl, like, publicly in a club, people sending me pictures and everything with his family. He still had his stuff in my house. Like, it was, and I was still willing. I don't know. But I feel like it was so hard for me because, remember, I didn't have a family. So he was my family.
Yeah.
His family was my family. And he was the only thing constant throughout all the years. Mm-hmm. So I felt like if I lost him, I lost everything. And he was the only guy that my mom...
she had met him.
Yeah. So it was like, It was hard, so hard. I felt like nothing. And then also, you know, his family really didn't approve of me a lot, you know, because I didn't accept his cheating. So some way, somehow, I wasn't like the perfect girl because I always had an issue with it. So I'm like, oh, you're out, you're leaving, you're going clubbing? All right, well, I'm leaving too. You know, so I was always this sassy girl. Like, I'll wait for you and love you, but I will always be like, all right, deuces, I'm leaving too. So they didn't appreciate that because that's not the typical Latina behavior. It was like, you have to stay home. And I stood home for X amount of years, but then I'm like,
you were tired of it.
I was tired. So I feel like their perception or what they thought of me affected me as like who I was. Like I felt like not like I wasn't worthy because all they did was like talk crap about like who I was, and like, you know, so I felt like I wasn't good enough. And then I'm happy that I don't know, me sacudí. I don't know what it was. I don't know.
You outgrew the relationship. You found yourself. You started realizing your worth and, you know, realizing your independence, that you didn't need him anymore. So
well, I always knew that though.
But you don't know what was the point.
Yeah, that
like,
wasn't it either.
Yeah, that's
it
true.
wasn't either. I always knew that. I knew it.
Well, I mean,
to be completely honest, I was helping him financially. So I didn't need him financially. Right. I didn't need him emotionally because he wasn't providing anything at that time anyways. I don't know. That's why I have defined it as an obsession. Like something, because it just doesn't make sense, you know? And I go through this with so many people that have those toxic relationships where they talk about, you know, oh, when you know, you know. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, you're going to get to that point and you're just going to know. And honestly, it was meeting the right people, the right person.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you.
The
so
right
what
person,
was the breaking point?
The right person, like me finding my fiance. I would not leave that guy for the world. Like, he's not perfect.
Aww, but still.
You know, but like I compare him to anything I ever had, and there's no one as patient. There's no one as caring as like the things that he would do. No one would, you know, maybe they would, but no one has showed me what he shows me. Like, it's just like I own his heart like 100%. You know, with my leg situation, you see him at night, like, you know, I was cleaning one of my properties and I couldn't walk for a couple days.
Tú limpiaste esa propiedad como que fueran 10 gente que vinieron limpiando.
And he will carry me.
Yeah.
He carried me from downstairs and just like, no, like, and you'll see him like, come on, you need help. And I'm trying to lean and I'm like, and he's like, no. And he just like, and he just carries me, even though, you know. And to me, like, his patience with me not be normal, because at the end of the day, I do have a condition. Some days I'm great and you don't see it at all, but then some days, you know, when we go on vacation, I can't go hiking. I can't, you know, spend like hours walking. I'm not that girl anymore. So for me to see that he could be with someone that can provide all those things, and I'm not. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to go running after my kids. I don't know. That's an uncertainty for me. And he's willing to deal with all those things. And he's willing to love me with not having my parents and all the baggage that I come with. Because Latina women, they come with a lot of fucking baggage. Like, I feel like, you know, we're a lot. We suffered a lot. We hold a lot. Whether it's relationship, whether it's our parents, whether it's growing up. We have a lot of drama. Not drama. Trauma, la palabra es trauma, y demasiadas cosas como que han pasado, que te han afectado, like just even trust issues.
Yeah.
It's so many layers of us, you know, and it takes the right man for you to start like opening up and trying to break these vicious cycles.
Yeah. And
for you to realize like, oh my God, I'm becoming my mom. Or what I'm doing, I'm like, you know, like it takes the right person, and I appreciate that from him.
Wow, yeah, no, that's such great advice. Like,
yeah.
I mean, as Natasha said, we didn't expect to get into like relationship talk, but I'm really glad that you're opening up and giving our listeners some insight on.
And it's funny because we had an episode, Let's Talk Millennial Dating, and we had a girl who talked about using Tinder, Hinge, and all these apps, and you met your fiance on Match.com.
I'm all for dating online.
Yeah.
I feel like nowadays you're not gonna meet someone like what pushed me to join Match.com was the fact that everywhere I went, I was gonna find the same type of person, which is not what I wanted. And I kept dating the same person over and over, which it was going to clubs and it was into like the nightlife and into buying designer stuff and wasting money. Like, it wasn't what I wanted for my future. And it was so weird because I feel some way, somehow, what's happening in my life, this is what I always felt. Because with my first relationship, that I lasted all those years. I lasted 14 years with the guy.
14.
Oh shit!
No,
14 years, girl.
Wow.
And it was like my longest relationship ever.
And you've been with Zach for how long, if you don't mind me asking? 3 years.
And you see how you know from the 3 years in comparison to 14. You know.
It was crazy.
Wow.
But we were kids too. My excuse to that relationship was that we were kids and we were growing up together and trying to figure out life and going through being a minority through all those struggles together. It was hard, and my life hasn't been easy, and I'm not a normal girl, and I have to understand that. Like the things that I have gone through, a lot of people don't go through in their whole entire life. Like the fact that I don't have both of my parents, the fact that, you know, all these things have happened in my life that are not your typical experiences, you know?
Mm-hmm. And you know, basically all of this, you put out a lot on social media of your life, so a lot of people know bits and pieces and can get to know you. So we'll get into the social media portion of it. When did you become, how did you start gaining a following? When did you become big? So you got hacked, but I don't think I followed you when you got hacked, so I didn't,
So I developed a social media platform based on how I dressed. So a lot of people enjoy the way I dress. I also was a lot more provocative than what I am now. I had there's levels to growth, and I definitely have done my share of growing. And I was insecure. Like I said, I was lost. So I wanted attention because I didn't have it. I didn't have it in my relationship. I didn't have it in my parents. I didn't have it anywhere. So I craved attention. I craved love. I craved so many things. So my body was it to me at that point. So I feel like that was one of them. I also loved dressing nice. So that was I always had a different taste. I always liked to have fun with my outfits, with my hair. I had all sorts of color of hair. Now I have been black, brunette for such a long time, but I was a redhead. I was blonde, dirty blonde. I was even orangey. I did it all. Burgundy. I did it all. So it was fun, and I felt like that was it at first. And in Patterson, people talk. It's a small city of Dominicans. There's a lot of a huge percentage of Dominicans in Patterson, which they all knew each other. So it was kind of popular in the city, I guess. Everybody knew, this girl, she's doing well. She has her own car, or she owns her own house, and people talk. Also, the fact that I worked in the bank, and I was working in one of the banks in Patterson, and everybody had to come for me to approve something if they had something. So it was talk to that girl. That's your girl. She's going to go and she's going to help you. She's going to, so people will always I have this problem, or I got this check, or I want to send money to VR, or always it will be me, and I will go into businesses and I'll walk and have put Wells Fargo tables to open accounts. So I was very, I guess, active in the community to a point. So everybody always knew me. I was in every Parada Dominicana. I was always, out there. I was out there every day. I didn't have kids or a man. I one day got sick of a lack of sleep. I got sick at work, and I was throwing up, and was my body giving up. I feel like I was shaking. And that's how much I was going out and having fun. But it's so good because now that I have my leg situation, and I'm I feel like I'm married to Zach. We don't do anything at all, and I'm so glad.
Because you've been there, done
you
that.
go through phases. I know.
So I'm so happy that I lived it. I did it, and I don't have any regrets. I don't. A lot of people judge other people for their stages in life, and whether you were a mom first, and then you were going out clubbing, or maybe you were going out clubbing in your young years, and then you became a mom. Mm-hmm. So I feel like everybody has their stages, mm-hmm. and we all have to live them. And we don't ever know if you're going to be in that stage, You could judge someone for, I know I have friends now that were in the clubbing type. And, they were, always home and, they're not about that life. And now, they're the ones clubbing. And I'm like, aren't you tired?
Like but they didn't get to do
it.
They
didn't get to do it. And then now in this point in their life, that's what fulfills them. And that's what they want to do. And you have to be respectful. So not judging what people are going through and how they're dealing with their situation, because you don't ever know what issues they have and like what's making them feel good inside. Right. So being respectful of like everyone.
Yeah, that's another good message to send our listeners and your followers, is that everyone's path is different. And you know, to stop comparing yourself to each other, right?
Everybody wants to be in a relationship. And I feel like a lot of people want to be in a relationship, but are you ready for a relationship? Are you really truly ready? Have you dedicated enough time for you to be ready and to cure
yourself,
las heridas que tú tienes? Claro. Like, tú te has dedicado ese tiempo, have you? And do you know really what you want or what you need versus what you want? Because you could want something, like I thought I wanted X amount of things, but that's not what I needed. Actually, Zach is everything but what I wanted. You know, just physically, he's what but you know, like, in everything else, he's not. And it's so crazy to me that things turn out that way, and then you realize, like, oh my God, you know, I thought I wanted, you know, I dated celebrities. I did it, like, you know, and I had it all. I was traveling to DR every weekend for, like, I mean, in 2016, 17, it was, like, my best year. Like, I was traveling every weekend. Like, I would leave Wells Fargo Bank on a Saturday at 12 o'clock, and I will be at the airport at JFK, like, at 2. And I will be coming back Sunday night for one day.
Wow.
I was trying
to,
one day. First class, girl. I was living the life.
That's crazy. But that's not what you needed. Because
and then now it's so... That's why I'm so happy, because I know the grass is not green on the other side. Yes. You know how people wonder? I don't have to wonder. I know.
Yeah. Again,
like, I 100% know that. That's why I'm so, you know, obviously I'm not happy that I'm not rich, you know, and that I didn't find like a rich guy. But I'm happy that we're going through our struggles together, and that, you know, we're going to get where we're going to get to in life together.
Right.
And that it wasn't like I found this guy and he provided all this and my life turned out this way because I found that guy. I don't know. I think that's more of a boring path. You know? I mean, it's a lucky path, but it's boring.
The fact that you experienced it, you don't have any what ifs, because there's people that have the what ifs because they've never experienced this. So, you know, and that's what you say. Have you, you know, lived your life, or, you know, have you cared yourself enough to really reflect on what you want before jumping into something? Because a lot of people jump in just because they want to be with someone.
And I'm so happy that I tried things. Exactly. That I gave myself the opportunity to try. Because, you know, I'm not going to lie, when I met Zach, I was very intimidated because of the cultural difference. You know, I felt like he was such a smart guy. He has such a great job. I'm like, oh my God, like, am I enough? Am I enough? You know, what is he going to like me? What is he going to like about me? What is interesting about someone like me, you know? And he loved me.
It turns out a lot.
He gave you the ring.
Yes, but you know, like, he, according to him, and that's why our own insecurities like take over sometimes of our mind, because before he even met me, he told his dad that I was gonna be his girlfriend.
Aww,
so he showed his picture to his dad, like, this is gonna be my girlfriend, and he showed him, and like, we laugh about it because they were at the beach together, but here I am. Doubting myself, that what is he gonna like about me? And it's just like, no, like, allow yourself to date, allow yourself to meet people, allow yourself to learn for that one experience, even if it doesn't lead anything. Because sometimes I feel like we also want to make something out of nothing. Like, maybe that relationship wasn't meant for it to be a relationship. It was just meant to be a learning experience. Learn from it. Get whatever you had to get out of the relationship and move on. You know, you don't have to wife up, like, I mean, make a guy a hubby, like, right away. Like, I feel like some girls are very desperate, and I've always been a dude when it comes to that. I could read and understand messages. Like, if a guy doesn't want to be with you, he does not want to be with you. And, like, I have so many friends that, you know, I read the conversations and I'm like, he does not want to be with you. Like, do you not read this? I feel like throwing it in their face. And it's just like, they really are like fucked up in the head that they don't see it. They want to believe it's so bad, and I'm like, this is why they don't even like you, because you're so available. You're so eager. You're so like, let it go. Let it happen.
And if it's meant for you, it will be for you.
And you know what I feel too? Like, don't date one person. Because like when you're dating just one person, then that's when you're like waiting for that text. Mm-hmm. Like date multiple people and make it known that you're like, oh, I'm dating. That way, like, oh, if you don't want to go to dinner, all right, I'll go with you. And exactly. I'm single. Mm-hmm. Live your single stage and be happy. I just.
No, I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
And in terms of, now you have a social media following, how has that influenced your actual real estate business? Has it influenced or impacted it in any which way?
Well, I feel like the way that it has impacted in my real estate, I don't know. Like, that when I was reading that question last night, it was like the only question that I'm like, I feel like it has impacted my social media.
So I kind of want to talk a little more about, Instagram and being an influencer. Mm-hmm. What do you think is like the biggest misconception of being an influencer? Like, can you talk a little bit more about what it was like to working with brands? Because I know you did mention how your life could have been completely different. You might have not met Zach. You might have not had multiple properties and be in the real estate business because you had a moment where you were going to move to DR because of, the following that you were growing on Instagram.
Yes.
So I know it's a loaded question, but...
Well, yeah, my following started, like, my percentage was very high in Dominican Republic at first. Mm-hmm. So, because I'm Dominican, so I had so many people following me from DR, so I thought that was the way to go. And you have so many people like Lindsay and all these people that are doing great in DR. And I feel like people in DR are very supportive of influencers. So I thought that was the route, and the person that was managing me at that time, that's the route that we were going to go for. Fast forward, it didn't work out. I tried it. I mean, like, I was traveling all the time there, and I did grow because then I would trend there. So it only allowed it for it to keep growing just there. But then I'll have to come back here. And it just didn't work out. I stood here. The relationship, it didn't work out. And what was the question?
No, sorry. No, so basically, I guess where did you really start gaining a following, which is what
it was in the Dominican Republic.
Right.
But then when you came back, how did you maintain that, or how did you grow that? Because now you said, okay, this is not for me, DR, because you had to keep coming back. So how did it
grow here in the US
from there?
Well, I was just tagging my outfits, and it was so weird because honestly, I didn't have nowhere to shoot. And I lived in the basement, like I said, I had no lighting. I had no relationship, so I had no one to take me a picture. I feel like I would have probably blew up and been a very successful person if I had a partner who would have been taking pictures when I needed to in that era, because everybody was following one another, everybody was blowing up. But I would go to my friend's house just to take a picture. Like, can you please take me a picture? And it would just be so annoying. I was like the one annoying friend that was always asking for pictures. And people didn't get it. And people are just like, what is it with this girl and these pictures? And I feel like now people are more understanding of why I want a picture. Like, let's say today I came here, I got dressed. I had 2 weeks I didn't get dressed, and I did my makeup in here, but I didn't have a picture. I didn't get a picture.
Exactly.
And maybe that would have been that one post that I could have uploaded on my social media. So it's hard when you have a life outside of social media, and then you're kind of pushing to create that content. There's a lot of girls that do that their posts are more planned, where they set a date and they create content, and I try to do that with a photographer here and there. But to me, it's it's not also organic. I don't know. I also follow a lot of girls where they're more in the moment and more like me. And I like that. I enjoy that. I enjoy it's a different vibe when you go out with a photographer and take specific pictures, and it becomes a photo shoot rather than this is the outfit that I would just wear kind of thing. And it's more reliable, more
Like, you're not living in your experience when it's with a photographer. It feels more like a business. You know, when if I were to take a picture of you now, it's like, oh, we're talking, déjame cortar una foto, and you're good. You know?
And it's like an outfit that I probably would, I accessorize as like I was going to come here. Rather than if I'm going to take a photo shoot, then I can make it extra, like extravagant and like go all out in my hair, my lashes and all this stuff. And it's just like, that's not who really I am on a day-to-day basis. So I feel like it's not like as reliable with other people.
So basically because you were organic and more so in the moment, like you kind of tried the whole photo shoot thing and planning it out.
So,
and
yeah,
it wasn't your niche. It wasn't who you are.
No, I feel like I would upload like outfits, you know, going to work for Wells Fargo, that worked a lot. So I had like selfies, so I would always take selfies there, a mirror picture. So that was like my thing, since I didn't have no one to take pictures. Then I, like, my co-workers would take pictures of me there. So I uploaded a lot of like work outfits at the beginning. That was like my thing, because like I said, I have nobody at home to take pictures. And yeah, so that's how.
And then from there, I'm sure, you know,
but how it
really
blew up was when I started showing my real estate. So once I started showing my real estate and what I was doing, and like that I was buying properties and like opening up like my work ethic and what I was really about, and that's what people want right now. Like, people are looking to know what you do, who are your friends, and who do you go out with, and what do you eat? What restaurants do you like? Are you dieting? Are you not? Like, people are so into your life. It's like crazy. Like, I feel like the more I share, the more I discover they want more. And I'm like, you know, so I feel like times have changed. Before, people were satisfied with this much. And now people just want more and more and more. And the more you're willing to provide, the more they want. So, yeah.
Yeah, you have to set a boundary, because then you're not living, you know, like a little bit of you needs to be private.
No, and not even a little bit of you. Like, where's your time for
Exactly.
you? For your inner, like, development, for your peace, for your family, for your friends. So, like, at times, like I said, I get so many DMs. But I'm just one. I can't sit here and, like, maybe the time that I could go and watch a show that I really want to watch, and I really want to help you, but I also have to be selfish. And that's where you have to draw that line, and you have to be like, I have to take care of me, you know? So I have, like, opted into trying to do more of a overall answering, because I can't do, like, personalized ones. It's just too much.
Yeah. So I guess to kind of wrap things up, what would be your best advice to those interested in becoming a fashion blogger?
In this day and age, because it's now different from when you started in the beginning, you know?
Or do you want to end with that question? How do you want to end?
I don't know, Kathy, you go.
You didn't mention, like, brands that you work with. Maybe talking about, like, how do you work with brands? Or what deals you've gotten?
Yeah.
Okay, So, I mean, I think we can talk to you for hours.
Honestly, seriously, this is not enough. Like, we're already over time, but I feel like we can continue.
Yeah. But I know a lot of our listeners are interested in the influencer world. So, to kind of wrap things up, can you give a little bit of your experience working with brands and maybe some advice for up-and-coming influencers?
So it's just like knowing your value. Like, I feel like in a million years would I have thought that I was gonna be working or had the experience to just work with so many brands that I admire since I was like a kid. So it has made me feel so great that I was able to work like with Olay, with Abercrombie, with, you know, Saks Off Fifth, and just so many, like, you know,
those are huge brands.
I know. It was like great. It's so great to see myself getting where I want to be. I'm hoping that 2020 just opens so many more doors. I did one with
Dunkin' Donuts?
Yeah, Dunkin' Donuts, but it wasn't Dunkin' Donuts. I was gonna say, what is it?
A hotel?
No. Oh my God. It was in Walmart. Yeah, so I did Dunkin' Donuts, I did Walmart. So I have done a few brands that I'm very proud of. And I'm so excited for 2020. I'm excited to see if many more. Kathy, my manager, she's so helpful. and she has gotten me where I am today. I didn't think I could make a living out of this. You know, I also feel like we have learned, like, also, like, all the money that it's in this field that you could really make. People are living off of this. Like, people are making a full-time career out of being an influencer. And I feel like a lot of us don't share our contacts. You know, I have found a lot of group of girls that are able or willing to share who they work with and refer you so you could work with them. Not necessarily it's gonna turn out that way, but you see the willingness and that they care about you succeeding in life, which is great. I feel like to anyone out there that's hearing this, like, just share. Like, I feel like we all should stay, like, united, and especially as Latinas, women, like, just reach for the stars, like, as a group. Like, we all could do just so much better than trying, like, and any company, you think about any company, Amazon, Google, it's a whole team to get there. And I feel like a lot of us become, like, very selfish and think that, oh, if I share that contact, they're not gonna hire me, they're gonna hire her, they're gonna look, well, she has more followers. But everybody has its own, like,
their niche,
personality, and their attractiveness and their own audience. No one is more important than another, or more, no one is better, or just, you know, I feel like just be yourself, and anything that's meant for you will come to you, and I believe that. So just share. You know, share love, share work, share thoughts.
That's the best message, because everybody can eat. Yes. Just because you help somebody else doesn't mean that you can't succeed as well.
And I feel like, honestly, like, it's very hard to understand that we don't really like to share. Like, I feel like we don't. I don't know if it's just humans as a race, but I'm going to speak for our community and us. I feel like we don't. We're very greedy. And where has it gotten us? Where? Nowhere. So share and see that good karma. What is it called when it's good karma? There's a word for it. Good comes around.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like
what goes around comes around, right? Is it like
whatever. Yeah, I mean, like, if you help somebody else, that will come back to you twofold, because that's how God works, or the universe works.
And I personally feel like I would not be here if it wouldn't be for that. Yeah. Everything that I have gotten in my life, I feel like it's for every good that I have done, because there's not one thing that someone doesn't ask me that I'm not willing to share. Even if it's my struggles, even if it's my embarrassments, my mistakes, if it's gonna help you, I'll share them. I do not care. And I feel like people just need to share love, positivity, anything that can benefit someone else, that could guide someone else. Just share it, and you're gonna see how maybe that person's gonna recommend you later on, talk about you later on to someone else, in front of someone else. It's just good karma. Like, just put it out in the world.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, another wonderful message that you're giving our listeners here. Here at the podcast, the Let's Talk Girl Talk, we definitely promote collaboration over competition, and that's why we were so excited when you agreed to come on, because we're like, wow, we're just starting out.
And she's willing to come on and talk. Oh my gosh. Honestly, I can't express, like, how grateful.
But it's like, that's what's about. Because then, you know, now, you know, all your listeners, it might be just 200. Though now those 200 are able to hear me. And maybe I gained those 200 because I'm sharing with you. So it's like, it's never like I'm sharing, like, we both sharing. We both have our I don't know how to say it, but
like, we both can benefit. It's not
we both can benefit.
Oh yeah, we both provide value to each other.
Exactly.
Yes,
Look at you.
yes,
Yes,
all right.
Yes, we both have value, and everyone has its value and its own value.
Yes.
And I don't know, I'm all for it. Like, especially if you're, I mean, this is amazing. Like, I've been wanting to do a podcast for years, and you guys got it together. Why wouldn't I come and show you guys that I'm proud, to encourage you guys to reach for the skies, to understand, like, if she can come and she could dedicate her time, who else could?
Right.
You know, and now you can show, she came, so now you can request other people to come. And you know, it's awesome.
Yes,
That's
yes.
awesome.
Thank you so much
Thank you.
honestly.
Yeah.
Before we go, where can people find you?
Follow me at Nurys Marcel. I also have a website, which is nurysmarcel.com. I'm also a real estate agent. I'm not going to give my phone number like last time. I got like so many calls. But you could definitely find me and like at Nurys. No, it's marcel.minaya at cbmoves.com.
And we'll link everything so people will be able to, find you.
Okay, awesome. So guys, make sure you go ahead and check her out, whether it be for real estate, whether it be for her blog, her social media. You heard it here. Like, she's such a fountain of wisdom. So if you want to continue to get more of that, definitely follow her.
You're more than welcome.
Yeah. And then, of course, as always, you want to make sure to follow us on Celeb Talk Girl Talk podcast, as well as hit that subscribe button. If you loved this episode, the only way that we can continue to grow is by rating and reviewing.
And commenting. It's super important for you guys to comment and,
engage and let us know your thoughts and what you're feeling. So, again, like we said in the beginning of the podcast, there's so much that we are planning for 2020. So just stay tuned for that. If you want to be updated, again, make sure to follow us. And speaking of, 2020 plans, we can't recommend enough Motley Kitchen. So stay tuned for that. It's a hidden gem in the South Bronx. Such great food, coffee, atmosphere. We're really big fans. And I'm actually going to be bringing the kids to have brunch this weekend there. And then, as we mentioned earlier, we're having an event meeting there as well. So
a second event meeting, because we're planning a couple of events. We'll keep you guys posted on that.
Yeah, so again, just a lot. I mean, I know this episode is probably super long. I hope you guys...
But it's worth for you guys to listen to the entire thing.
Right, yeah, I hope you guys really enjoyed it. And we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.